All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here talking about real music in real time for real people just like you right there and just like me right here. So, the new album, Crash of the Crown by the band Styx, has been released. And yes, because I'm so diplomatic, so loving, so caring, and so understanding, I'm going to review the album. First things first, do I like the album? Yes, I do like the album. Begrudgingly so, much like On the Mission, these guys have put together a bunch of very good songs. There are a few weak links on this album where On the Mission, I didn't feel any of it was really weak. The weakest song on this record happens to be the title track, which is Crash of the Crown, followed by the second single they released called Reveries. There's this 38-second thing called Lost at Sea, which I'm not all that nutty about. I'm not crazy about Lawrence Gowan, if you haven't gotten that from prior videos. I think this album is primarily a Tommy Shaw album with some Gowan sprinkled in and with one really unfortunate JY moment, which is on Crash of the Crown. So are those two songs horrible? Reveries and Crash of the Crown, are they absolutely horrible? No. If you listen to the album from start to finish, they fit in. They're a bit unfortunate, but no more unfortunate than some of the bizarre moments on Pink Floyd albums where you like certain parts more than other parts, but thematically, they all seem to go together really well. The Fight of Our Lives, that first track, almost has an ABBA moment. All of the harmonies and the blending and the layering, it's almost ABBA-esque. Some would say Queen or even Sweet. I heard a little of those harmonies the band Sweet used to come up with. I liked Monster. It had big layered keyboards, layered vocals, and dream sequences. It just kind of, the tempos change and you go from one landscape to another landscape. And I like that. Obviously, I'm not a big fan of Reveries. I'm like, meh, it's okay. Hold Back the Darkness was a great track. It's Lawrence Gowan trying to be Roger Waters. All right. It almost works. Gowan does sing better on this record than I think he has sung on prior records. In other words, I didn't notice the part of his voice that I dislike. I didn't notice it as much. But he's not Dennis DeYoung, and I'm just going to keep saying that. Save Us From Ourselves, good song. Lyrics are a little bit esoteric. I think what they're trying to do is allow the listener to read in. Politically, you could look at this as them saying, Styx saying, look, this is kind of the end of the world as we know it. And some of us will feel fine. Some of us won't feel fine. Some of us will make it and some of us won't make it. So it's a little bit dark, a little bit apocalyptic, but no real pop songs on this album. Now, this is the goal of this group, is to erase the legacy of Dennis DeYoung when it comes to the pop songs like Show Me the Way and Don't Let It End and Best of Times and Babe and things like. They don't like that as a band. They want to be like Crystal Ball, Equinox, Grand Illusion, even though Grand Illusion itself, the song has a lot of pop elements in it, which Dennis obviously used elsewhere, just toned the progginess of it down a bit. Crash of the Crown, again, JY is not a lead vocalist. He wasn't a lead vocalist on Snowblind, but it was interesting back in the day. And again, in context, if you listen to the entire album, you go, okay, I can put up with this for a little while, because it's like a dark, menacing kind of vocal. It's almost like if you were to plug someone into a wall and like their hand went into the socket, it might you might sound like JY. That's it's interesting, but it's not what I like about this. And it's never what I liked about Styx. It wasn't like I was waiting for JY to ever sing in Styx, and I'm still not. Best song on the album is a tune called Our Wonderful Lives, which really sounds like vintage Styx. It definitely borrows heavily from Fooling Yourself. You're going to hear a lot of keyboard parts on this record, which will remind you of other vintage Styx keyboard moments. So Gowan plays the keyboards, right? So hats off to Gowan. Hats off to Tommy for helping write some of this stuff, I'm sure. Although maybe Gowan wrote most of it. Don't know. I don't have access to the actual credits on this album. We know that Will Evankovic, or however you say his name, was a key part of this album like he was on The Mission. Common Ground sounds a lot like Styx. Good track. Same for Sound the Alarm and Coming Out the Other Side, which I believe was the tune that was a bit roboto-ish, or maybe that was To Those. To Those is an interesting song because it's very, it's climactic. It's like this is going to be the end. But then this other tune, Stream, is after that. And I don't know. I think they probably could have done the sequencing a little different with the songs toward the end of the album. But I get what the point that they're trying to make. There are also other little incidental tracks or mini songs, 20 seconds, 30 seconds in between some of these songs, which again add to the like Pink Floydian vibe that part of this has. I hear a lot of different sounds in this. I hear a lot of the Beatles. I hear a lot of Pink Floyd. I heard ABBA, believe it or not, Queen, Sweet, and vintage Styx. Obviously, it's good when I hear actual Styx. Like I go, okay, this sounds like Styx. Not Kansas, but Styx. There was one tune that had an ending that was somewhat like what Kansas would do. But, you could interchange Styx and Kansas, and people are going to say, hey, I like both bands, and they were both kind of doing similar things at the same time. Again, my only knock on this record is if you liked the old Styx that had rockers, ballads, progressive, not as progressive music, but a little bit of everything on it, you're kind of not getting that. You're getting a start to finish proggy rock album with a few very minor pop elements to it. But overall, I would say this is a really good album. And the production value is great. The recording quality of this is fantastic. This cranks up very nicely on a stereo, so you can blast this sucker and annoy your neighbors. Scale of 1 to 10, I'd give it probably an 8. That's where I would give it. Is it as good as The Mission? It's pretty close, but I think The Mission was maybe slightly better. Maybe because I wasn't used to hearing Styx do that concept album thing so well since, the days of Paradise Theater. But if you're a fan of the occasional, hey, I'd like to sing along to this song moment, this isn't really that album. And this is obviously where this band wants to go. I would say this, though. Styx has definitely reestablished themselves as a decent band without Dennis DeYoung. But guess what? The moral of the story is they're still a better band with Dennis DeYoung. I'm thinking to myself, imagine if everybody got in a room with Dennis and all these ideas that Styx had and put together an album. It probably would have been the world's greatest masterpiece. But this is a great album. It will go down as a great album. It will probably age fairly well. And it might even be kind of a shot across, the bow as far as warning people what's ahead, regardless of where you are politically speaking and culturally speaking. There are some themes on this album that are very important for the moment that we're in. So good job, Styx. Reluctantly here, good job. Now, look, I don't have any ill will towards these guys. The bottom line is I still wish they would make amends with Dennis DeYoung. They're not going to do that. And clearly this album proves that I guess they don't have to do that, but even if they don't have to do that, they still should do that. That's the way I feel about that. All right, so my video about Styx is done. Crash of the Crown. It's out now. Go listen to it, and I think you'll really enjoy it.